Catherine was sitting down petting Haruhi, while getting a short and simple rundown on the GC's laws and history from Azariah. Catherine, for her part, seemed to actually be listening to the history, though Ashley was also there to make sure everything was noted. As the two were getting lectured, one of the council guards burst through the door. "There's an emergency. We need to get the whole council into the council chamber right now. We just got sent a diplomatic envoy from the Rizeri. They're heading into the atmosphere now. They have taken significant damage." Azariah's jaw dropped as she heard that the Rizeri sent someone to talk. Have the Felis attacked the Rizeri? The Felis are way too isolationist to do something like that, though. But who else could have attacked the Rizeri Alliance? She thought, as her eyes drifted back to Catherine. Then it hit her. She stood wide-eyed and whimpered. If the humans made it here, their enemies have moved into our corner of the galaxy as well. Catherine heard her and narrowed her eyes. No, we brought the Azarians right to you, and we haven't even considered the other floofy empires. I need to know if it was the Azarians, she said, as she got up and ran out the door towards the landing pad. Ashley followed close behind her, with Azariah in tow. Catherine ran through the halls at a flat sprint, deftly dodging all the small guards who were trying to stop her, and figure out why she was running the wrong way. When she got to the landing pad, she saw the ship in question. It was billowing black smoke, but she could make out a sleek black design that looked similar to an old Lamborghini from Earth, but with wings. As it came in for a landing, she read it a hard-like picture of an Azarian. The ship had come in a little fast and smacked the pavement hard enough to crumple the front. Catherine bolted over, with Jeff appearing beside her ready for any threat. As they neared the crumpled spacecraft, the side opened up. A decidedly human hand reached out and grabbed onto the side of the door, as the envoy pulled herself to the door before passing out and stumbling over the side of the wreckage. Catherine slid in, catching her under her arms. Then she noticed that the bottom half of the woman was definitely not human. Jeff helped Catherine pull her from the wreck, being careful not to jostle her around too much. After all, they had no idea how to check for damage on the half that looked like a spider. As they laid her down on the pad, Jeff went to check the craft for any others. He pulled another from the wreck who looked more like a regular jumping spider, minus being 3 feet long and a solid 1.5 feet of thickness. The guards had run over by now, but they were just as lost as Catherine and Jeff on how to check for damage to a Rizeri. Catherine racked her brain, trying to figure out how to handle this before it dawned her. "Jeff, help me carry her to the shuttle. You guys grab that one and follow, quickly now," she yelled, as she grabbed onto the girl's arms and lifted. "Please be okay. Please. If the Azarians attacked them, then I'm responsible for that. I brought them here." They clambered into the shuttle and laid the two down. Catherine yelled, "Telia, scan the 2 uncategorized Xenos and repair. Emergency speeds, please." A light washed over them as the synthesized voice of a young girl spoke. "Are you okay, Catherine? Your stress levels are above anything I've seen before." Catherine started crying as she replied between sobs, "No, I'm not okay. I may have brought the same destruction that we faced in the beginning to a completely unsuspecting and innocent race, so no, I'm not okay." Telia let out a quiet, "Oh, I'm sorry." The half spider girl shot up straight before looking around wildly, and then jumping into a corner. The full spider woke up and then jumped in front of her, looking back at the guards and Catherine, hissing. The half spider then realized where she was, as she collapsed onto herself and began crying as she whispered, "We made it." The full spider continued its hissing and fretting before Jeff stepped in front of it. "You're among allies, little spider. Quit threatening me. If I wanted to kill you or her, I would have done it before you had even finished your spectacular landing. I certainly wouldn't have helped her carry you two to our ship for healing." The spider kept hissing in his panic, and then shot a leg forth and stabbed at the ground in an effort to dissuade Jeff from coming any closer. Jeff just sighed and disappeared. The spider stopped hissing, as its instinct screamed that death was near. Then it heard, "Don't threaten me," from behind it. The spider slowly turned to see the giant standing inches away from him, playing with a knife. The half spider yelled, "Wait, please forgive Lucan. He's trying his hardest to guard me. My name is Rizeni, and I'm here on behalf of the Rizeri Alliance, as well as the United Peoples of Rizeri." Jeff just sighed. "I just said that I was not going to hurt you two. I was just proving a point to this Lucian. Catherine, you take it from here," he said, as he simply disappeared. Catherine wiped her eyes and walked over. "My name is Catherine DeLassey. I'm here on behalf of the Terran Empire. I wish to ask what attacked you. I must know," she said, as she pulled up a hard-light image of an Azarian in front of the half-spider. Rizeni flinched at the image and nodded her head. "Yes, these are what has attacked us. We've come to request your assistance. We saw your broadcast through the Galcon connection that we had to monitor the GC. You said that you had been fighting them. So you presumably can fight them off, was my mother's consensus. So she sent me to enlist your help. Our worlds went under siege within hours. Our fleets were like paper to them, and our weapons were nothing but a light show. They made an instantaneous and coordinated attack on 9 worlds. Our homeworld was one of them. My mother sent me out within an hour of the assault, our last fleets delaying for me to escape. It took me a day and a half to get here. I can't even imagine the damage that could have been wrought by now. The guards gasped and started running to relay this to the council. Azariah had been hiding behind the mass of people listening. She didn't like the Rezzeri. They gave her shivers, but this was important and, well, the people she was hiding behind just left. Now or never, I guess, she whispered, as she stepped towards Rezzeri. I am Azariah of the Galactic Compact High Council. I would like to request that these negotiations be made in the presence of the High Council. Catherine was at a loss. Her breath caught and a lump formed in her throat as the tears streamed silently down her face. As she listened to what happened to the Rezzeri, the lump in her throat got bigger and her lungs burned for air. After Rezzeri finished her recounting of the attack, Catherine struggled for breath silently. As Azariah requested that this be done elsewhere, she finally couldn't hold it anymore and fell to her knees before letting out a scream of loss and sadness. Her memories of the Azarians burning human worlds and slaughtering everyone she loved burning in her mind. Now, she had accidentally inflicted that onto another. As she ran over and started hugging Catherine, while the rest of the beings on the ship were struggling to figure out why Catherine just burst into screaming and crying. Basilisk was walking back to the palace when he heard Jeff's voice. John, we have an issue. Accept the link, please. Basilisk's heart skipped a beat as he hastily accepted. Now he was observing through Jeff's senses. Jeff appeared in front of Rezzeri and Basilisk let out a whispered, "What the fuck?" before Jeff looked back towards the bawling Catherine.
Jeff, what is wrong? What has happened? What is that? Need a sitrep over here?
He said, as he mentally went over all the possible reasons for why Jeff would feel the need to step in and call him through the red line. That one was only for dire disaster. Catherine is alive, so that isn't it. The new species must have either been attacked, or they have attacked. One or the other. Jeff looked to Rezzeri. You are being witnessed by the Emperor from my senses. State your request and I will relay the answers. Proceed. Rezzeri bowed her head. I wish we could have met in better circumstances. However, my people have been attacked by these Azarians. None of our worlds were attacked at the same time an hour after your broadcast to the known universe ended. We request your immediate assistance in this matter. If we do not get help, we will surely perish. Our fleets were annihilated within an hour of combat. We have nothing to defend with aside from Rezzeri's spirit. Please, we'll do anything. She brought her head back up and stared at Jeff, as stood stock still, presumably getting the response. Jeff blinked. He understands the situation now. I can't say that I approve of his response, but it is what it is. Rezzeri choked up at this and nearly cried before Jeff sighed and continued. He is on his way. He has also enacted the old Total War protocols to get the manpower and ships necessary to reinforce both your systems and the GC systems while also defending home. He is also wanting to establish contact with any other politics known to the GC, as well as any provided by the Rezzeri Alliance. Then he is going to set out to defend them too. He disconnected from Basilisk, and then as he walked out to the shuttle he started yelling, Wonderful! Spread all our power as thing as possible, because the animals and insects can't defend themselves for shit. Basilisk walked to the armory under the palace, eyes glowing a pale green. He walked past Aegis and Atticus, who both got a cold sweat as soon as he opened the front door. Atticus was going to greet Basilisk as he entered, but every instinct in his body started screaming to run the second the door opened. He looked over to Aegis, who was sweating the same as he, only he had a look of manic excitement as Basilisk passed them. Atticus knew that his own face was a mask of terror. Aegis started following, so Atticus willed his legs to move, even as they shook and felt like jelly. Each step as though his leg was made of lead. Basilisk walked down the spiral staircase to meet the 30-foot door made of nothing but blackened basilan steel, with a mural of him standing atop a pile of slaughtered Azarians encompassing the whole door. He channeled his power for a moment, glowing green runes etching themselves onto his very body as he spoke the words, Hector ven maleficus, formicet demas fortua. 2 arms made of pale green fire exploded to life and began lifting the door high enough for Basilisk to walk in without hunching over. Stay there, you two. Once the door shuts, it's staying shut. I will be opening a rift for myself. You will have no way out, he said, as he stepped towards the main weapon in the armory. Atticus and Aegis watched as the Emperor walked over to the massive 14-foot sword. The sword was split down the middle of the blade, the back of the blade being covered in little nubs that seemed to have a place in the blade, then down to the guard. There were horns coming from what looked to be a small dragon skull that had the hilt of the blade in its mouth. Ambassador stuck his hands into the jaws and hefted the weapon off the wall. He let the power flow through himself and into the blade. Green fire lit up the empty sockets of the dragon's skull, and it clamped down upon his hand, drinking in his magic. The nubs on the blade shot out condensed veil energy into small blades. The actual blade erupted into uncontrolled veil fire. The ambassadors pointed it to the side before stabbing into the air and tearing a hole in reality. The door opened before Atticus and Aegis were exposed to the veil, but they saw the whole thing. Atticus fell to his knees crying and praying. Aegis ran up the stairs laughing like a maniac and called his father. "Father! The Conqueror of Worlds has returned! Ha ha ha! I have borne witness to his second coming!" he yelled as he ran.